I'm going to cover what raw features are available to you with this $80 plugin. Then I'll go over some of the cons that we have found, and I'll share my final thoughts. So first, let's get into the pros. If you were like me, an owner of one of the many awesome Blackmagic cameras, but also a Final Cut user, then you probably shot a lot of ProRes. Don't get me wrong, ProRes is an awesome codec and works great from the Blackmagic cameras. But finally getting access to B-RAW within Final Cut Pro 10 is a game changer. That means you can actually use almost all of the RAW functionality. This gives us greater flexibility in post. You can change white balance, change ISO, and using the RAW files as opposed to ProRes should theoretically give you greater dynamic range and greater detail from the Blackmagic cameras. One other big pro with B-RAW Toolbox is the developer is very responsive. They're always making updates to the software, as well as if you post in their forums, they will answer right away. Another pro is that the plugin is sold via the App Store. So if you have multiple computers, you can just pay once and install it on all of your computers. For me personally, I like how updates are handled via the App Store. Alright, now let's get into the cons. Working with B-RAW in Final Cut Pro 10 with this plugin is finicky. The developer has done a great job, but they have to do various workarounds like dragging that icon directly into the library into, in order to import the footage. And then using B-RAW in Final Cut Pro 10, especially in multicams with this plugin, is really slow and it bogs down your computer. We've tried all kinds of things to improve performance. We have an M2 Mac Studio with a pretty fast RAID from OWC that's attached directly through USB-C, but it still lags like crazy. It lags so much that you cannot actually edit complicated B-RAW multicams with it. Also, it's hard to work on the same Final Cut Pro library on different computers. So what that means is it's less buggy working from the computer that the library was originated on. That's fine if you have one computer and do everything from there. That's great. But even if you have a desktop and you want to move over to your laptop, or if you are working with other editors, then B-RAW Toolbox doesn't work well. There's a security measure in macOS and Apple that it causes an error. The end result is that you get missing files, which are for some reason difficult and finicky to relink within that B-RAW Toolbox and within Final Cut Pro 10. You're not using the same functionality like the built-in Apple relink. You're having to use the relink within the B-RAW Toolbox. And, we tried everything within that and just do all kinds of clicking to get them to actually relink. And we just found it kind of a pain to do all that. It's just easier to work on the same computer and do it that way. So for us, it's not that great because we have a multi-editor team here. Another potential con is it seems like only one person or a very small team of people are developing the software. In my opinion, that's a risk. If they get sick, or if they have a family emergency, or if they get tired of the project, or if they get busy on another project, it could stop working for a variety of reasons. For example, Apple makes a change in Final Cut Pro and that update breaks B-RAW Toolbox for some reason. And don't get me wrong. Again, the developer has been super fast and responsive, but there is a potential risk there. And side note, this is why if you're in the middle of an important project, you should not upgrade your system and you should test upgrades on non-critical systems and non-critical projects. Overall, here are my final thoughts. B-RAW Toolbox is okay for small projects. If you just have one camera and no multicam clips, it's okay. If you have a very simple multicam project, it's okay. But even in both of these cases, for me personally, it is still a little finicky. We recently shot a feature film and Braw Toolbox cannot handle it at all. We shot with 3 Pocket 4Ks and 2 to 3 Sonys for most scenes, depending on the scenario. We shot in B-RAW mixed with the Sony footage, all multicam, and in 4K, plus dual system audio. In addition, we were and are editing from a NAS over a 2.5 gigabit network, and I get that is adding more issues to deal with. But like I said, even with a local copy of this particular project on a fast RAID connected via USB-C directly to the computer, which was an M2 Max Studio, it was too laggy to actually work. For that project, DaVinci Resolve is a better choice. Which brings me to the next video I want to make. I want to share my experience learning and using DaVinci Resolve as a Final Cut Pro user. But that's for next time. So if you stayed for this long, please consider subscribing. I'm planning on sharing my 25 years of experience on here and would love to help build the community. So please join us. Thank you and see you next time.